Hi, good morning, children. This is the second video of our grade 8 video series. If you haven't watched my previous videos, I have done videos for grade 6, grade 7, and for grade 8, first chapter. Please follow them if you need some revision knowledge, right? Because, yeah, this is somewhat separate chapter, but if you want to know about this IT stuff, go through them because it's good that you have a good basic understanding. So all my videos will be around 30 minutes. So it's a quick recap videos, right? Okay, in this chapter, we are basically talking about configuring and formatting the computer, right? Uh, it will talk about different aspects, right? Especially as it is telling it's about time and other formattings how to do, and file attribute configurations, how to search files, and different kind of troubleshooting based on hardware and software. In this first part, they are talking basically to form how to format date, time zone, currency, and numbers, right? Hope you have some kind of understanding. Currencies, we have different foreign currencies, right? In Sri Lanka, we are using rupees, but in different countries, they have different types of euros and dollars, Singapore dollar, American dollar, USD dollars, and like different kind of currencies. Like that, there is a time difference also, right? For example, our Sri Lanka time is not the same time as the US time or Australian time. So there is a time gap. So that is a general knowledge I'm sharing now. So we should know. Similar to that, there are different kind of like number formats, right? Also, like for example, whether you put a comma in each three numbers, like that. How to put the decimal number, how many decimal points numbers you need, like that. There are different kind of formats. So in the first one part, we are talking about how to configure the date, the time zone, and the time of the computer. So if you want to see the time, uh, you can have this setting, but it's not only to see the time. It is important in other cases as well, especially, for example, installing and updating software, right? For example, you may have seen sometimes if you use a trial software, they are expiring. So these expirations, they manipulate this sometimes based on the your system or the computer time, right? So like that, these things are very important, not only to watch, like to see the time and you know the time, but for like different purposes as this. So sometimes, and when you're working with application software, right? You need to schedule tasks. Sometimes you want to automatically shut down, you want to update them. So especially when you're updating even the operating system, this time is very important, right? And the license. So trial periods will end. Similar to that, sometimes license, after license will expire, you will need to get new license. So for these things, date time is very important, right? Another thing is all these information, for example, file saving, file searching, and sending reminders. All these things also have an impact based on the time, right? So time zones now, if you think about countries, there are about around 200 countries, right? So in the world, and they are divided based on different time zones, right? So normally they are having their own unique time for each country, kind of based on an international standard, right? You may have learned these things, Greenwich line and all these things. I'm not going to teach that much, but in maths you will learn how this time uh, is like calculated, kind of. So that's why, but you better to understand that these time zones are like very important. And for example, they have given an example in Sri Lanka, it's 6 a.m. in the morning. In UK, it will be 1:30 a.m. So UK is the London where the Greenwich line is there. So that is like the 0th point. From that onwards, we are calculating our time. Currencies, yeah, I told you different currencies are there, so it's important. Normally, the default currency will be the currency of the country where the operating system is produced. So, if it's better you change it to local currencies, right? Next thing is number format, right? So, it's also, as I explained, it's very important thing. So, I will show you how to do these changes. So, here you can see the time. Right, my time and date and time are correct according to the local uh, things. So you can see in a detailed view like this as well. Here you can see adjust date time, right? So here you can do the changes, additional date and time. Here you can set your time. So you can change your date and time, right? Simply, it's not very hard. You can change the date, you can change your time. But sometimes these manual changes won't be affected because it will always check with the time zone. So you can select the time zone. In Sri Lanka, it will be this, right? So that means UTC time is time where in the Greenwich line, that means near London. So for that, we are adding 5:30, 5 hours and 30 minutes. Then only we get our time. So if you set the time zone here, right, there are so many time zones, right? See, now in India, these things will come. See, Kathmandu is time is another 15 minutes more compared to us, right? That you can select any time zones, right? So this is the coordinated universal time, 0th one. So from that onwards, plus things are there. Minus things are basically to the side of US, right? So if you set that, it will default, will take that time. Otherwise, you can manually change the date and time, right? So sometimes you can have additional clocks also. These I'm just showing for more information. For example, if you have some cousins or some relatives in foreign countries, you can have 2 clocks for different time zones. So you know at we don't know Australia, this is the time. So no need to do conversions and see. No need to remember. Also, you can keep 2 clocks for your local time as well as for other countries as well. So that's how you set the um, set the time. That's how you set the time. And from here, you can go for the additional settings, right? And here you can see the number formats. This is what I told, right? What is your decimal symbol even? Normally in maths, yeah, we are using the dot, but even that you can change, right? How many digits after decimal, right? How to group the things. Like, for example, if you have a number like this, right? This is an example. So it is having groups for each three numbers with a comma. You can change it, right? So grouping can be changed if you want the full number without any stuff, right? Or with this kind of 3 digits separation like that. So negative sign, what is negative sign you want to have? Like that. How many leading zeros you should need, right? List separators, there are so many. things for number. What are the formats you are going to have? So you can change them, apply, okay. You have to apply and okay. Just doing changes won't save them. So you have to apply and click okay. And here you have currencies, right? So here also you can change the currency, right? With the what is the currency you are going to have. Okay, so time and date, again it's the same thing, not much. If you want to change these exist like normal default things, then you can do, but I don't think you need to change these things, the time formats and all. But if you want, you can change these formats, like how you want to show your time. With now here it's only hours and minutes. Do you want to have seconds also like that? Okay, what's the date format you want to show? Now I'm showing the first month, then day, and then the year. Right? If you want to change that format, you can change it here. Right? This one telling 4 digits are separate for the year and 2 digits are for month and 2 digits for date like that. So if you want to change the formats, you can customize the formats here. Okay, from additional settings. Okay, simply first day of the week. It starts with Sunday. So all these things you can change if you want. It's from here. Okay. Okay, hope you understand how to change date, time, and other formats. Date, time formats, number formats, currency formats, those things you can change. So next part is about file attributes, right? So these things we learn about these file properties in grade 6 and 7 both, right? So I will quickly recap these things, nothing big. So in a file, you have different kind of attributes, right? File name, file type, and file extensions. This thing we talked about. For example, now here you can see text.doc. That means it's a document, right? That means this is like older version of MS Word. Now latest versions will have docs with X at the end. So from that you can tell what is the application software which supports this file, right? So extension size of the file, right? It's very important. Sometimes you can, if your space is not enough, you can see what are the files which are very huge, especially movies and all will consume more space. So you can get an idea about the size of the file by looking at that. And the place where it is stored, right? Where when it was created, the file, when the file was last modified, and what are the rights and permissions of that particular file, right? So let me quickly show you that as well. These things again, uh, I'm going to explain this again. Uh, Now see, if you just see this folder, these are two folders, this is a file, right? And you can see when it was modified. And this is the file type, right? Whether it's a folder or it's a file, then the file will have Microsoft Word like that. Okay. So if you want now, sometimes you may won't see this extension. You will see it like this, no extension. So if you want to see the extension in latest Windows operating system, what you have to do is you have to go to the view and you have to check this file name extensions. Now you can see the extension and right click on the, so I'm going to right click on this file. So it's telling different information. Type of the file is Microsoft Word docs, right? This is the latest version, 2016 version Word. So this is the place where it is stored in C drive, school folder, and size is this. Okay. Size on disk means it has some buffer space before to adhere the modifications of this file and all. So that's what it has, two sizes, and it's created on this date, modified on this date. But today I just access it. I didn't do any modifications. And yeah. In this security tab, you can give permissions, different kind of permissions, uh, like this. Okay, so based on that, you can give access, whether it's full control, whether you are giving just the read option or whether just write option or read and write, like all the control. So you can decide based on the user group or the username, you can give the relevant permission. Okay. So why it is important to have these different kind of file permissions? Now, for example, administrator user will have full control. But if you don't want to give the full control to somebody else, when you're sharing, you can tell you just have read option only. You cannot do any editing. Yeah. So why it is very important is like because then you can decide like what you are going to allow, right? So that's why it's important. So file changing rights. Sometimes even you can hide the file itself for particular user groups, or you can give a access but just to read only file. No any modifications are allowed. So that is why it's important. You can control your access based on this. Next thing is searching. You may already know this. You can search files of your computer based on the name, based on the place, and based on the file extension or the date saved, right? All these things can be used to search a file. So I will quickly show you. So in this folder, I'm searching because can you see here it is saying I'm searching on the school folder. So I'm typing my name. So here there are two things. So if you type only docs, so you can see there are two documents based on the file extension. You can say see, right? So okay, so file name, file extension, those things can be used, right? Here you can do the sorting also if you haven't seen this property earlier. Uh, see, sorting can be done. Okay, here it will be sorted based on the alphabetical order, and again it is changing to the other, something like that. Okay. So next thing, main heading we are going to discuss is about troubleshooting and maintenance of the computer, right? So when it comes to the problems of the computer, there are basically two types, hardware related and software related. And when it comes to software, it's about application software and operating system. So I will talk about software part later. We'll jump into this hardware related issues. So before going to the hardware issues, you should have some kind of idea about the ports, right? So ports are the uh, things where you can connect the other devices to your laptop or the computer, right? You can see some kind of these kind of like holes here and there, right? So you can plug other devices, right? So here some of these ports are very old, they are not used anymore, but for the purpose of like because Sri Lanka, yeah, everybody will be not using the latest uh, desktops, laptops, and operating systems sometimes. So that's why they have included this. But sometimes these ports even you won't be able to find in your computer. So don't worry, right? So I will just quickly explain these things, right? With the practical experience, you will get to know this, right? So PS2 port, earlier days we had used this for especially for the keyboard and mouse, right? So purple is for keyboard and mouse for the green one, like that. So VGA port and DVI port, basically both are for monitor, right? These are two technologies, but nowadays we use HDMI. Not sure what is the port in your machine. Basically, VGA port doing only transmission of analog signals. DVI, it's digital signals, right? And HDMI in addition to the video, audio also is transmitted, right? So that's the main difference of these things. So normally latest machines will have HDMI port. It's because actually the quality is higher in HDMI, right? So USB port, very common. This thing you should know, must to know, right? Because in most of the machines now, everything is USB connected, kind of. You can plug and play. No need to sometimes install drivers separately also. You can just plug and play. For example, keyboards, mouse, these wireless devices are connected. Printers, right? Pen drives, portable hard disks, all these things are mostly using the USB port nowadays. And RJ45, that's the Ethernet port, it's for the networking. This also you can see, right? Usually eSATA port for external storage devices. Okay, sometimes these also not used because we have USB port now. And HD audio port, this is also not very much used, right? Because we are using USB ports to connect your speakers and headphones and all these things. So you don't use these things nowadays. Display port to provide higher performance in your displays, right? Compared to a VGA and DVI ports, right? So here also we are mainly focusing about HDMI port. So have some kind of understanding. So these kind of additional ports also sometimes you can see, right? Parallel port for printer connection we used earlier days, but today it's USB port, right? Micro USB port, right? Sometimes you need to connect uh, mobile devices, right? You may have seen in your phones and all this port sometimes, but in most of the time we are focusing on the USB ports now. SD card reader, right? To use the SD cards. So this is the port, right? Ports are very helpful. Why? To connect other devices to your computer or the laptop. Okay. So when you're troubleshooting, first you should know what are some examples of hardware problems you will get, right? Sometimes your computer is not functioning, keyboard is not working, mouse is not working, monitor is not working, speakers are not functioning. You don't have internet, network connections are not working. So these are the basic problems you can have in your hardware, right? So they have given you the problem and different kind of solutions. I will quickly explain this, right? These things it's really good to know. You should have a basic understanding, but sometimes these mentioned solution itself won't work for you, right? That's why Google is there, right? So you cannot give all the solutions for your problems here. They have identified some kind of standard problems and given standard solution. So if for the exam purpose, yeah, you can write these solutions in your exam. But in real world, practically, if you have a problem, sometimes all these solutions won't work. So you have to Google and get some assistance from your teachers, from your parents, from somebody else, right? So, and especially when these things, if you are going to do practically, be careful with the electricity, right? Always do these things with the help of a teacher, right? Okay. And they are especially telling when you are doing anything related to power supply, please disconnect it from the main power supply and do, right? Don't put different tools to these plugs and all. It's very dangerous, right? So first thing, basically, basically the problem is the computer is not functioning even you press the power button, right? uh, Not applicable for laptops much, but this is for desktop machine. If you try to uh, press the power button, the computer is not working, right? So solutions, right? So first of all, you have to identify whether your computer is directly connected to a wall socket or it's through a UPS, right? Remember what is UPS? Yeah, it is to provide uninterrupted power supply, right? Because I have told you this thing earlier also. Sudden shutdowns won't be good for your computer. So, in desktops, you don't have a battery like laptop. Laptop, it's somewhat okay because you have a battery. So even the power goes off, the computer won't shut down at, at the at that sudden. But desktop computer, that's not the case. If the power goes on, computer is shutting down. So it's a sudden thing. So it's not very good. So that's why we use a UPS. So UPS will give some time to do a proper shutdown if the electricity is not there. Right? That's why you use a UPS. So you have to identify whether it's connected to UPS or not. So first part is for it's based on the connecting through a UPS. Right, so disconnect, they are asking you to disconnect the power supply, main power supply. Check whether why you do this is the safety part. Step one is for the safety. So you may remove the main plug, but you check all the other plugs, whether uh, the plug is connected to UPS is properly connected, right? If not, you connect it and that UPS to computer there is a plug, so that whether that is connected, right? So all these uh, from the UPS to monitor, right? Sometimes system unit also getting power, right? Separately. So check all these plugs are connected properly, right? Then only finally, if everything is connected, you give the main power supply again and give the power and see, right? Then you switch on the computer and see. Most probably it will work. If not, then you have to go for technical assistance. There can be so many reasons why your computer is not starting when you click the power button, right? So this is a very basic solution. You check whether all your cables are connected properly. Even for step two, the similar thing, right? If this is there's no any UPS, right? So you disconnect the main power supply. You check whether all the power cables are there to the computer, the screen, to the system unit, and all these places. You find all the related power cables are there. If not connected, properly connect. Sometimes remove and plug again and see. So when all the plugs are connected, only you give the main power, right? So most probably it will work. If there is any loose connection in your cables, this will fix it. Not all other issues. Second thing is keyboard and mouse is not working fine. So restart the computer. Most of the solutions will tell restart your computer, right? It's related to not only hardware stuff, even for the software things, sometimes restarting will help you, right? So remember it as some kind of a common solution you can go for. So if the restarting doesn't help, right, shut down the computer and try to even no need to actually shut down because most of the time these USB cables are connected. So you can remove the keyboards and mouse respectively and plug again and see because there can be loose connections. Right? No need to shut down here actually. So sometimes your keyboards and mouse may be using USB port or sometimes it can be PS2 port. It's the old one. That's why they have explained two different things. So they're asking to restart. Yeah, if just plug and uh, remove and plugging won't help, you restart and save, right? So if then only still your keyboard or mouse is not working, try to replace it with a new one, new other keyboard or mouse and check, right? Sometimes your keyboard or mouse will have the fault, not the computer, right? So if that is also not working, then you have to go for the technical assistance. Sometimes your monitor is not working, right? So you can check whether this normally for the monitor also there is a separate power supply. So you have to check whether the power button is switched on. If not, switch it first or restart the computer. Right. So step three is you are checking your other cables. It can be there. It can be using VGA or DVI, HDMI or DisplayPort. So these are the 4 options. So if those ports and these cables are not connecting properly, please connect them and see, right? If everything is okay, and you are checking the power cable to the monitor as well. That's also important, right? Yeah. So after that, when you restart, usually your monitor should work. Otherwise, seek the technical assistance, right? Faulty speakers. Your speakers are not working. Maybe headsets not working, right? So try to increase the volume and first see, because sometimes it is like you do, its volume is very zero. Like here you can see the volume. So if you set here with a cross, that means you don't hear anything. Understood? So here you can increase the volume. So you can increase up volume and see, right? Here they are telling to check whether it's minimized or not. So you can increase or check, right? Sometimes your headphones, the mic is not working. It's muted there. So you can check that. Okay. So as the step 3, then you have to check the cables based on the technology you're using. Different type of, now this is HD technology, but sometimes you may be using USB ports, and so based on the technology you check the cables, right? Uh, Here they are telling most of the sound system will require separate power supply. This is not for the headsets and all. If you have separate speakers kind of, yeah, then there's a main power supply for that particular device. So check that as well. If everything is work, yeah, should work. If not, you can check with different sets of speakers as well. Sometimes speaker can have the problem. So still not working, then you can check whether audio device driver is installed or not. Right, drivers, sometimes missing drivers. Due to that, some of these devices like printer also won't work if you don't do device driver installation sometimes. But if it is USB port driven, usually it's plug and play. That means you can just plug and play, no need to install these drivers separately. But it depends, right? Okay, so those are the steps they have given if you have faulty speakers. Network connection failure. So we learned that RJ45 is the port we are using for internet stuff, Ethernet port, right? So if internet is not working, you can check the connectivity, right? Whether this cable is properly connected. In some places, there will be a green um, flashlight, small one, to indicate whether it's properly connected. Otherwise, I'm not sure whether every computer will have it. So still, if it's not happening, you can see there is an icon here. See? Okay. Then we are talking about software problems, right? So there are 2 types of software. We have learned these things in the smaller grades: application software and operating software. So application software is basically designed for specific task, right? Word processing, Excel, web browsers, image editing, video editing ones, and sometimes this PLC players like media players. So these are application software. Even games comes under that. So application softwares will have these kind of problems. Sometimes it's not running properly, not respond. It's freezed kind of. Uh, you don't see the interface. It's taking long time to load it, right? Does not respond to user commands like freeze. It's doing incorrect stuff. So these are the problems, different kind of problems. So basically, simplest solution will be close the application software and reopen. Okay. If not, then you have to check whether software is compatible with the computer specification. That means now software compatibility is the feature of software components or the system that allows you to function together. Right? Sometimes the software needs different kind of compatibilities. Right? So maybe the operating system is not compatible. Right? The applications work on Windows won't work on Mac sometimes. Sometimes it need different space requirements, RAM requirements, different kind of system requirements. So you have to check whether that particular software is compatible with your computer. Not only about computer operating systems, other uh, hardware also should support it. So you have to check that. Third thing is some softwares are there, licensed software. We know there are two types of software, right? Open source and proprietary one. Open source, yeah, yes, you can just download and use. But if it's a proprietary one, you have to buy the license. So if the license is expired over the trial, sometimes they give 30 days trial, 1 month, 2 months, like that. Trial periods are given. So if its trial version is expired, then also there can be different kind of problems. So you have to check them. So if that is also not the problem, you can go for the repair options. Normally all the software will have repair option. You can restart and reopen software and see. Still not working, then you can uninstall software totally and reinstall it and see. Right? Normally installation of a software is not very hard thing. Usually they just need to click next, next, next and finish. But actually, if you see that wizard, you will see they're asking where to save. Do you need a shortcut? There are different types of options you can select for the software like that. But basically, what you have to do is click next and finish it. Okay. Yeah. That is the things they have usually given. Sometimes restart the computer also will work. Okay. Okay. Next problem is about that application software having problems maybe due to viruses, right? Malfunctions. It is doing malfunctioning, right? So basically, what is a computer virus? We learned this in grade 7. It's a malicious code, right? So it will harm the computer system, destroy data, erase them, manipulate them, replicate different unwanted files. So many problems can be caused due to not only virus, there are so many other uh, malicious malware, right? We learn malicious software malware. So these problems can be basically removed by using an antivirus software. There are different kind of antivirus softwares. You can use them, scan your computer, and then restart and see. So second category in softwares is operating system, right? So operating system is a must to have. Now application software you can uninstall and install without it, no worries. But there should be operating system to work. So the problems can be very slow, not responsive, blank desktop is coming, these kind of issues. Slowness, yeah, can be due to different kind of issues, right? Sometimes when you start new application software, you always everything is like getting freeze kind of thing, right? So maybe smaller space, right? So these problems can be there. Sometimes you may need to log with an administrator account, because administrator is the person, the user group, which will have the full control of your computer. So if you have given in home computers, yes, you will have all the access most probably, but in school lab computers, you won't have sometimes you won't have the full permission, right? Okay. So basically, step 1 is to close unnecessary application programs, right, which are running currently, and you can use this task manager for the uh, applications from there. And you can remove unwanted files from the hard disk if the memory is the problem, right? This cleanup can be used, so it will delete all the unnecessary unused files. Still that is not working, even in the operating system you have the repair option, you can do it, right? Yeah, you have to, the last option is the formatting the computer and reinstall the operating system. Sometimes you won't be able to do it by yourself. Yeah, you will have to have some help. Next thing is the blank desktop, right? Sometimes the icons, desktop icons are not seen properly, right? So one problem is due to selecting the incorrect mode, right? In the computer you have in the Windows 10, if you see, there are two modes. One thing is tablet mode and PC mode. So if the mode is set to tablet, then the icons will be hidden. So for that, you have to go for the speech button here. Can you see the speech button? So click it and you can select here tablet mode. Now in my case, it's not ticked, but if it's ticked, then go back to PC mode. Okay. Second solution is like in the desktop, you have to go to the desktop, right click and understood. So you can show and hide the desktop icons. If it's still blank, then yeah, definitely you have to take the help, right? Yeah, that's the end of the chapter, right? So troubleshooting and everything. So basically in this chapter we learned about how to change configurations and settings, basically time, um, numbers and date time, number formats and currency formats, right? So then we learned about different kind of file properties, right? Which we have, which is very important for a file. And then we learned about different ports, and then we learn about how to do the, what are the problems and how to do the troubleshooting, right? Troubleshooting is finding solution for these problems. So there are different types of issues, maybe related to the keyboard, mouse, monitors, speakers, networks. If you have printer also, see, similar kind of problems can be there. And if you think about software, it can be problems related to operating system or application software. So yeah, that's the end of the chapter. So yeah, in the real world, as I told earlier, the solution won't work. So you have the help of Google first. Then you can go for your teachers or parents. Yeah, if you have any questions, please do comment. And if you haven't subscribed my channel, please subscribe it. If you still haven't clicked the bell icon, click it, because then you will get notifications when I upload new videos. Yeah, you can like my videos, you can comment, right? Any issues you have. Thank you very much.